Word on the streets, it's BowlzNBeatzz. What's good, everybody, and welcome back. It's your girl X, and joining us today is a Toronto-based DJ that just claimed the title of the DMC Canadian Champions League. Let's welcome DEEJay T-JR.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to sort of talk about the DMCs and just let people know exactly what it is, because I know people have questions about what it is. I know a lot of people saw the accomplishment, and there's just questions on it. What is it? Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to give you your flowers for being not only the champion of that, but being the first female. I was like, oh shit, represent. Tell me how that felt like when you were in the moment where they announced your name. Describe that feeling.
You know what? I think that in my mind, I won before that announcement, because I made the commitment to myself at the beginning of the year. Actually, in January, I had a goal. Just as the new year was coming, I had a goal to, I've wanted to win a battle, especially this one being the most prestigious DJ battle. I've wanted to get number one for a long time, and everyone that's been watching my journey, they obviously know that. I've already made history throughout the years. I've done the Red Bull Freestyle, I've done Goldie Awards with, shout out to A-Track, who's a native, Toronto native, and yeah, he's amazing. So with the DMCs, it's something I really wanted, and I got to work as soon as the new year came, January 1st, and then I just got to work. Obviously, all the years leading up, practicing and doing this and that contributed to that, but this year I really locked in, and I wrote it down. I wrote down my goal. March 9th, I still remember, number one. I want to be number one in the country for the DMCs. I have it written down on the vision board. And made it happen. So I was excited to see it work. So working works.
You manifested that.
Yeah, putting in the work works.
Exactly.
And there was a lot that went into it. Yeah. So it was very exciting. I think everyone around me is super happy as well. And yeah.
Everyone around you definitely is super happy. I saw that post and I was like, wait a second. Not only was she the first female to do it, but she's from Toronto. Like, that's something to be so prideful of. And how does that make you feel? Like, knowing that you made legacy, like you're a legend for that.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It's cool.
It's like, it's whatever.
Job's not finished.
So what inspired you to get into DJing to begin with? Because you've been a DJ for years now, correct?
Yeah, I've been a DJ for a very long time. It was hip hop, 90s East Coast hip hop. I discovered New York hip hop at a very early age. The first CD that I stole from my uncle was the Marshall Mathers LP, and I just gravitated towards it. I just saw the art form in it early, and I love M's my favorite artist of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because he's the best at what he does.
Facts.
Facts. He's
lyrical genius.
There's no one that can beat him at the craft.
Facts.
So then I discovered that, and then throughout high school, I think I knew the mainstream stuff was easy to digest and understand and get your hands on, but I wanted to know more. And if anyone knew an underground track, I was like, nah, you don't know more than me. I went digging deep into the web just to find out anything I could. I printed out discography from A to Z, every hip hop artist, and most of them were from New York based. Like, a lot of my influences from New York.
Yeah. That's where it started, right?
And I thought to myself, like, where do I start? This list it was from A to Z, just super extensive. And then the first artist I saw whose name stood out was Big L. And then it sort of started there. And then once you explore Big L's catalog, you explore DITC, Digging in the Crates, and all those guys, Lord Finesse, shout out to Lord Finesse, Diamond D, all the guys, OC, and then it kind of just, and then, you discover Wu-Tang, everything East Coast. And then obviously I went into West Coast as well. Yeah. So it was hip hop for me that got everything started.
That's amazing. And how old were you when you started actually like mixing and getting into it?
DJing?
Yeah.
I was 18.
Oh, damn. Okay. So you were serious about it. You were like,
to me, that's a late age to start.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you were like, you had to choose, like, I'm going to do this. Like, I can't just be fucking around. Like, I'm going to take this seriously.
Well, here's the story. So at 18 is when I bought my turntables. So this is when I was just got into UFT, because I was pursuing, my studies. That's what I was doing. But I love music. I wasn't thinking of music as a career at that point. It was just something that I loved.
Yeah.
And it was very fun for me. So at 18, I had a mentor at that age, and shout out DJ Z, who sort of he saw the spark in me, like just in terms of like turntablism and DJing. And then I called him and I said, I want to buy turntables, because I heard him scratch, and I was like, I didn't want a DJ when he asked me, and like initially he sort of said, do you want to hop on the turntables? And I said no. And then I heard him scratch. I was like, wait, what was that? And then I called the next day. I said, you need to find me turntables. I like techniques. I need the real thing. And then he's like, just make sure you're doing well in school, blah 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 blah. That's and amazing. Just throughout my studies in my undergrad, I had a radio show as well. And it was called Real Hip Hop.
Oh shit.
So it was a late night. It was like Monday night, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. type vibe. Shit. Every Monday.
Wow, that's actually crazy. I didn't know that. Like you go that deep with music and hip hop.
Oh yeah.
Very interesting. So you said that you went to UFT.
Yeah.
So were you born and raised in Toronto?
Scarborough.
Shout out Scarborough. She's like, it's like a whole different, it's its own thing.
Scarborough. SB. Yes.
So how do you feel like Scarborough, I'm going to say Scarborough, how do you feel like Scarborough impacted your, style of music and getting into the music industry?
I think with Scarborough, so
for people who aren't from Toronto, that's a part of Toronto.
It is. But
and it's just very distinct. We'll leave it at that.
But when you say Toronto, people are thinking you're a city kid, like city. Yeah. Yeah. Like the way that I am right now.
Yeah.
But Scarborough is, where I grew up with my family, and that's my early childhood. Some of my fondest memories with just my, my cousins, and where I stole that CD from my uncle. That's where it all started. And he introduced, like, we always had my cousins over, and we'd watch Michael Jackson documentaries, and just my uncle introduced us to music in all genres. He had everything. So he was a disc jockey of sorts. That's probably where it actually started, is just with that with that influence. And then in my later years, so in the high school years, my family and I moved to Pickering. So everything was on the East End.
Oh, okay. You were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Cultural shock.
I think I didn't know English. I was born here, but I didn't know English growing up.
Your parents were immigrants?
Yeah, my parents were immigrants. So when my sister and I started school, we didn't know English. So we learned very quickly, but English is our second language.
Yeah.
And
anyway, you turn to music. You're like, I'm going to learn through here.
I don't know. I always gravitated towards music. I was quiet as a kid, more introverted. Mm-hmm. I felt like the black sheep of the family.
Yeah. Very
artistic. I was initially supposed to go into visual arts. So I didn't know I could draw until grade 9.
So you're just a creative overall.
Yeah, just a creative. Even if you go back in time, like let's say grade 1, 2, the things that I liked doing were drawing books. We would just go to the dollar store, grab, those thick drawing books for children.
Oh my God, yes. I used to love those.
Yeah, we had tons of those.
Oh my God, I used to love those. I'd be doing that all night.
We had tons of those, and that I remember reading a lot as a child, just reading books, reading, and doing artwork.
So you said that hip hop's your favorite genre. So is that your favorite genre to spin to and mix to as well? Because you do everything, right?
Yeah. I play everything.
That's like.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, just because I think I thought about this because in environments, it depends on the crowd. So, for example, if I'm playing for Scratch Bastards Barbecue and I know that that's the crowd that I'm going to cater to, then I go deep in the crates with the hip hop.
Yeah.
And, I'll bring out like B-side bangers because they know, that crowd knows. I know the demographic. I know exactly what to bring to the table. But then in certain other environments, like it won't work. It won't necessarily work. So I love all styles of music. I love all genres. I love dancehall. I love Latin music, deep house,
I mean, you're a DJ.
R&B,
like, I just love music.
soul. You know, I have soul
have you ever
records.
mixed the country?
I have. I've done
Yeah?
a few weddings where it was
shit.
strictly country.
Was that weird?
It was in my earlier days of DJing, and they put me to the test. It was a good experience. It's not something that I listen to on a regular basis. Not gonna knock it though, because there's a big following for country.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
It's a whole like nation over there.
Yeah, they have the showing every time they have concerts here. It's crazy, but my favorite genre has been I would say everything. You just get creative with everything. The stuff I listen to on my own time is definitely a lot of hip hop. If I could choose one genre, it would be hip hop.
It's hip hop. Yeah.
I love soul too, you know, like the Sam Cooks. That's my favorite.
Yes.
You know, my favorite artist when it comes to soul. That's my version of loving R&B. I don't necessarily listen to too much modern R&B. I just love the way that they used to sing back in the day.
That's actually, I like that you brought that up, because that was my next question. I was going to say, do you find that old school music was better than new generation music? Since you've been mixing for a while, you've been listening to, you know, how music has been transitioning and changing. Would you say that old school hip hop is better than new generation hip hop?
I wouldn't say it like that. I wouldn't, I think there's a lot of great music today too. I think there's so much talent, even with some of the artists that I work with in my studio. They're influenced by 90s hip hop and other older music from back in the day, but we're making new stuff. We're making drill. We're making that trap stuff.
Yes.
And I love it. You know, it's different. You have to adapt and evolve, otherwise you will get left behind. You can't be a purist of the past, I think, in anything. So that's how I think about it. I think there's a lot that, you know, even in the 90s, there was maybe music that wasn't so great. But even in the 90s, maybe they're thinking, well, the 80s were better.
That's
and
true.
then in the 80s, you can't, you know, you just got to know, you know, where music came from and who it came from. And then just use that in your style and just keep it moving.
Exactly.
Do what you love.
Especially with raves being so big. I mean, this is really universal, right?
Yeah.
So since you're constantly in those kind of scenes, how do you stay away from like the toxic side of it? Because we've had, you know, many DJs pass away, like for example Avicii, R.I.P. Avicii, you know, getting into that industry. It's hard to stay away from, you know, drugs, alcohol, just a toxic environment in general without like getting involved too deep into it. So what's your advice to anybody who's, you know, a DJ or in this music scene that's like, I'm struggling to like stay away from that?
That's an amazing point, because I see it all the time. For me, DJing, so I started playing out, you know, in terms of gigging, as they call it, or for work, in 2015. So for me, it was something that kept me extremely focused, and I was able to hone my craft through work. The way that I think of gigging, or, you know, just having this DJ work, it's paid practice to me. So if I work more than you, then I'm gonna have more practice than you.
That's true.
Right? So, and it's awesome that you're getting paid, but for me, I always want to be sharp. I always want to be on my A game. I always want to be the best DJ I can be at any given time, at any given night. So, you know, drinking doesn't help that. You know, drinking will, it's not, you're not going to be as sharp mentally, even with your, you know, even with your coordination. Drugs I don't do. I've never done drugs. So just being around the right people is going to help you, you know, elevate what you need to elevate in your life. Just being strict about your boundaries. So we're always going to be offered drinks all the time as DJs.
Yeah, like
so
it's
you know,
hard.
Yeah,
it's
hard.
Hard.
And it's part of the social environment. So, you know, you could accept the drink, but you don't have to drink it. You know,
that's true. Very true.
It makes the clients happy, you know, if you accept the drink and whatnot. But you don't have to drink it. You can take it, put it down. You know, cheers, or get a mixed drink and put it to the side. You know, a lot of the times I drive everywhere, so I tell people, you know what, I'm driving.
That's a great excuse, honestly.
It's a real reason. It's a real reason.
Be like, nah, I don't care.
I have nothing. Yeah, I'm very honest, and I just tell people, you know, most of the time I just say, you know, I appreciate it. I don't drink.
That's awesome.
That's it. So just saying, just stand your ground. Don't get influenced. I know it's everywhere, but just, stick to your morals, stick to your principles. And I'm very into, health. So if you're going to have a night of drinking, then the very next morning, you're not going to have a productive day. You're not going to have a productive night. You're not going to have a productive work day. So it just has a sort of like a trickling effect that I don't want to get into.
Good for you, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm just, disciplined about saying no and just learning how to navigate through the environment.
That's really what it comes down to, is discipline. Even like with my podcast, I'm a cannabis advocate, but even with that, I say you need discipline. Like, if you find that you can't even function if you're using cannabis, you shouldn't be using it. Like, know your limits, know your tolerance, right? And I know like it helps with a lot of creativity in the music industry, but considering you don't use it, what is your creative process? Like, how do you get into the zone?
You mean, do you mean when I make routines or?
Yeah.
For example, I'll give you an example. So with DMCs, when I was getting in the zone, for me, the game is all mental. Everything you do is mental. But especially when you get into the creative zone, you have to be, the way I get into the zone is just, I have a routine every day, and just, you got to be clear-headed as much as you can. I know there's a lot of variables. There's always variables, but just one of the main things I did at the top of the year, aside from just listing my goals and what I want to accomplish, was just making sure, just sort of doing like a mental scan of who's around me. Who do I talk to on a regular basis? Who do I respond to that maybe I shouldn't be? Because there's a lot of energy vampires, and it's gonna, you just gotta dial in, and it's about being disciplined again, because there's certain things you shouldn't be involved in. Certain people you don't necessarily have to respond to all the time. So it was just about, again, just having those boundaries and letting people know, I can't come out to your birthday. Have a great one. I gotta practice. Well, practice for what? Oh, I just gotta practice.
Yes.
I wasn't telling anyone at that time, because you just want to be as good as you can throughout the months leading up to your submission. And when you submit your first video, you don't know if you're going to get selected, because it starts with regionals, and then you get selected to participate in nationals.
Okay.
So I kind of kept it under wraps, just to keep myself focused and not have any variables. But for me, I think it's just, meditation is important. Drinking water, eating healthy, working out, but it all starts with your mind. So you just want to be dialed in.
Yes. No
distractions, whatever your distractions are. I started to realize even having my phone not on do not disturb is distracting. Yeah. So when I practice, I won't have my phone near me, and if I do, then I'll just have it on do not disturb.
Yeah, and I love that term that you brought up, energy vampires. I love that. I think that's amazing. From now on, I'm just gonna be like, okay, I gotta sort out who's a fucking energy vampire out here. I love that, because it's very true. And being an engineer as well, you have to be aware of your environment, especially as a female. That's like a big problem for women, getting in that environment, because there's not a lot of us in there, right? Oh, engineering. So how do you deal with that environment in a male-dominated industry?
I think at this point I'm used to it. With DJing, at least at the very beginning, I just, there's certain people I looked up to who have gone far with DJing, and just who've done really well on the competition side as well. So I just was sort of study their craft and their journey, and then try and mimic it in a way, but that works for me. There's certain things that they did that, or I would just ask them straight up, like, how did you do this? How did you do that? Just bug them with, just always be curious. And most of them are men in the industry, and they've been super supportive because they see how serious I am about the craft. Yes. It's not, I would never came in the game to not be serious. Yes. So it took years. Yeah. It took years to sort of, I always just wanted to get the respect of my peers, and just the acknowledgement of, she's serious. She's not here to joke around.
Yeah, I love that. Cause I got that when I started my podcast. I'd get guys like trying to come on here, just try to talk to me, and I'm like, okay, no. And then, but now people are starting to realize, okay, she's serious. She's not just trying to, you know, like talk to big people in the industry. Like, she's taking this craft seriously. And when they take you seriously, you gain like a whole level of respect. Right. And when you have that, you really, there's nothing stopping you. And that's why you are where you are.
Yeah.
First female DMC champion.
Yeah,
yes,
let's
I love
go.
that. So how was that feeling when they announced your name? Like, what was going through your mind?
I felt a little bit of relief. I was like, you know, this is amazing. It's a great feeling. Although at that point I knew that there's still a lot of work to do because I'm preparing for Worlds.
Yes.
However, I am happy about it. I'm proud of it, and you know, a lot of work went into it. But
so
at the
you're
moment,
representing Canada.
Yeah, I'm representing Canada.
That's amazing.
So
Jeez.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was excited. It was cool. I shared it with, you know, a few family members and close ones to me until they decided to, you know, publicize it or had everything. But the thing that I was happy about was that it's a ranking system. So all the judges, Canada had 9 judges. So 6 of the 9 judges ranked me first.
Okay.
So that it's undeniable.
Okay.
There's no
maybe. Yeah, it wasn't There's like you made it by a little. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cool. You know, I was happy about it, and yeah,
that's great.
A lot of them were past champions of sorts, so
exactly.
it meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
and
you literally were legendary right there.
Yeah, and there's a point system too, so I was very happy to, you know, it wasn't like this. It was like, you know, and I was like, you know, that's cool. I'm happy.
That's awesome. Hard work pays off. I mean, you've been DJing for how many years now?
Forever.
Since the boom.
Yeah, for a long time. You know, I should say though that initially it was just, I didn't think anything of it. The thing that I liked about it was that I could always go to it for anything. You know, if you're going through a breakup or whatnot. Yeah. Okay, well I have this. You have people to talk to, but
I'm not.
It's not the same. Some people like to talk everything out. That's not really my style. I like to do something creative and, you know, make something cool.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and usually in the studio I tell, as a joke though, but not really, artists who are newly out of a breakup make the best music. I always say this.
It's no lie.
Yeah.
When you're going through any like painful time in your life, that's when creatives are thriving. Unfortunately,
yeah, they make some of the greatest music. I'm like, oh, we're about to make some bangers.
It's so
Let's
true.
Go. Yeah, music was
as motivation.
Yeah, music was always there for me. Even at the gym, it gives me a certain level of motivation. I won't go to the gym without my headphones or my music. It's just not gonna happen.
No. No.
I need
don't know
that
how people
pump.
Do that. Shout out those people. That's hard.
that's a different level, maybe dedication. But for me, you know, music's always been there. Turntables have always been there. Similar to how Kobe talks about, you know, the basketball court and the basketball. For him, that's what turntablism is to me, and just, you know, music.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's your true passion.
Yeah, the answers are always in music. That's always where I've gone to.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So you said that you're preparing for World Championship now, right?
Right.
So what's your process with that? Like, how are you preparing for that?
So for the World, it's a 6-minute routine. For Nationals, was 4 minutes. So now I'm sort of going back to my 4-minute, you know, sort of looking at how much time I have. And, you know, seeing where the end result is. I need 2 more minutes technically of new material, or if whatever I want to change in my 4-minute, I can modify it. You're free to do whatever you want as long as it makes sense. So I have 4 minutes ready to go in a sense, so I can use that or I can change it up.
Okay.
I need 6 minutes.
So you have to show everything you got in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, from start to finish. No time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's time, but it's not.
Yeah,
you can go on for hours. I've seen your lives. The other day, she was on for like 4 hours. I was like, wow. And that was like, you were just doing it on the spot. Like, that's a true DJ.
I was like,
at one point, I was on there for like 40 minutes and I didn't even realize. I was like, oh shit. Like, the time, it flew by. But you're so good at what you do.
There's people that hit me. They're like, I went to the doctors. I came back. I made some dinner. You're still DJing? Someone's like, yo, I went to India. I came back. You're still DJing? And I'm like
in the same spot. I'm like, damn, she's tired.
I was like, that was nothing. I've done 8 hours straight before it without repeating a song.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's all, most of the times when I do those things, it's always a freestyle, because music knowledge comes first for me. I know a lot of music. It's like an encyclopedia in my head. So I could play off your laptop if you wanted me to. There's a lot of people that they're afraid, or I don't have my playlist ready, and it's like, you should always be ready. It's in my
like me.
it's always in my head. I have stuff in genres and stuff, but usually I always go off script because it's DJing is very dynamic, and the environment is constantly changing. You have new people coming in, you have people leaving, and then the demographic changes. So in a way, you're studying people in real time, and you're sort of like, you're seeing what works and what it feels like a social experiment, but a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can do it on the spot shows like how much talent you have. That's truly hard to do. I feel like DJs are so underrated. It's really hard to like consecutively keep it going, keep it flowing. I watched one of your videos on YouTube. I believe you were at, I don't know if it was the Goldie Awards, but like the way you were scratching, I was like, how? Like how don't you fuck up? I'm like, she's like so on point. Like, that's just wild to me.
Yeah.
So when did you realize like you had a talent for it? Like, when did you realize, okay, like I can actually be like the best in Canada?
That's a good question. I'll answer this by saying that I knew that I always loved music so much. Like, it's something that there's a light in me that just, you cannot dim it. When it comes to music, it's like, I'm supposed to be doing this. Because whenever I'm away from it, I realize that that's all that's on my mind.
Yes.
So in the past, when I was working a job where it was when it was desk work, I would literally bring my DJ laptop, put it on the desk next to the work laptop, have it open. I would load up, I would prepare I would download music. I would have Ableton open, making edits. I didn't care. At one point, I had Pro Tools open. And then that's when I'm like, I don't care what happens. So anytime, even when I'm away, I always bring my laptop with me everywhere. Or have a setup somewhere.
Yes.
My studio, I have a setup. At home, in my bedroom, I have a setup. At my parents' house, there's turntables, or there's a controller. Yes. So if you have a burning desire for something, then you should pursue it. That's how I knew. And then when I started getting into competitions, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this not effortlessly, because it took a lot of effort, but there at that point in time, I don't think I knew how to practice properly or make routines the way that I'm making them today. And I was still placing and getting good results, and with Goldie Awards, that's top 8 in the world that they chose, which was huge for me as well. Yeah. So then after all these accomplishments, and they're sort of like, they're on my resume, and I'm thinking,
exactly, it's like
pretty damn good at this.
Yeah.
And then and then you realize and then I love battling. Yes, it's me versus me all the time in my regular life, but being competitive is healthy. And 50 Cent says this: if you don't have competition, I don't know where you get your extra energy. Which is true, because you could think that you're doing your best work of all time, and then when you go to another city, you're like, okay, now I know where I measure up. Now I'm gonna go back home and do this and that, because the whole time, you need to know where you measure up. That's why it's important to know who the competition is as well. Yes. So competition is healthy. Don't let it get to your head, but obviously it's just extra energy. It just gets you going.
Yes. We all need our obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times people give up because they're like, damn, I got haters, or this is hard.
I love it.
That's what should be driving you, because if it's not driving you, are you really meant to be doing what you're doing?
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember for Goldie Awards, which is probably the video that you saw, I remember after I did that, I went through all the comments, every single comment. And my friend goes, one thing you shouldn't do is go through all the comments, because then it might affect you. And I said, it's not going to affect me. Trust me. So I went through every comment, good and bad, everything. I read everything. So I was like, okay, cool. Because you know what? I don't care at the end of the day, because I was in the stage and you weren't. And if you want to meet me there, then I'm happy to meet you there.
Battle you.
Yeah. Then I'm happy to do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it on the stage. Yes. That's where I'd love to meet you.
I mean, you can't take advice from people who aren't where you're at, right?
Yeah. So sometimes, you know, there's some good feedback that comes from the critics.
Yeah.
You know, criticism is just a communication way of getting a different type of communication for getting feedback. It's the same thing. Feedback, if I ask you for constructive feedback, you're going to tell it to me in a nice little
very
fluffier way, but criticism might just be communicated in a negative way.
Yes, that's very true.
But sometimes you might be getting the same message at the end of the day. Yeah. You know, so I wanted to get the harshest of the harshest truth. But of course there are some haters that will say, you know, whatever they want to say online. And to those haters, I want to say that, yes, my earrings did get bigger. And I remember seeing something like that for the Goldie Awards. She should get bigger hoops. I actually did. This is part of my trademark, like right here. And yeah,
so did those trophies.
Yeah, that's what, you know, you just got to keep it moving. Yeah, I'm aware of everything. And it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. You're just, as long as it doesn't keep you off course, then you're fine.
Exactly.
Whereas, you know, for some people, maybe it might affect them. They might internalize it too much just by reading these comments, you know.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people give up, unfortunately. But like, what advice do you have to anybody who might be watching this that's a DJ and they're like, damn, like I want to be where she's at, but I don't feel like I have that motivation or the environment?
I would just say, you know, whatever it is you want to do, even if it's not DJing, even if it's podcasting, even if you, I don't know, even if you want to race cars, you want to be the best race car driver, just start and practice consistently. I would say also, whoever you look up to, make sure, you know, that they have accomplishments, and then you can hit them up. People who are accomplished are always willing to help.
That's very
They
true.
always want to inspire the next generation. So reach out with questions. You know, whoever's watching this, you can reach out to me with questions. I love helping the youth. That's you know, that's the circle of life. We gotta help the next generation.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, especially in times like this where we need more creatives.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout COVID, I feel like music probably helped a whole generation of people like get through it. I know it helped me. I'm sure it helped you, obviously, being a DJ, right?
Yeah.
So what are your future plans with DEEJay T-JR? Do you have any upcoming shows or anything we can watch out for?
I would just say that I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Very focused on the world final for the DMC DJ Championship. So I'm looking forward to that. A lot of people ask me for the video footage of the nationals. They're not going to release that until the finals, just because DJs might be utilizing some of the material. So I will watch out for that.
That's why I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Everyone's like, you won. Where's the video? But
literally, I'm like, the one video like I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that'll come out maybe in the next month or so.
Awesome.
I have to look at the deadlines and things like that,
Yeah.
but that'll be my main focus right now, just focusing on Worlds, and then next year is next year, but I'm just focused on right now.
And if you guys want to listen to her mix, she's always mixing live on her Instagram.
Always.
So where can they find you on social media?
Social media,
You can tell them right there.
Right here. Yeah, so my handle is the same on everything. It's DEEJay T-JR. That's DEEJay T-JR across all platforms: IG, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, everything. So
Yes.
yeah.
Go listen to her stuff, guys. She's fucking good.
Yeah. Or come watch me live. I'm always in
even
the city.
better.
Yeah, I'm not hard to find. I'm always in the city. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here. Honestly, it was an honor, and good luck with the World Champions. You know, we're all rooting for you. The city has got your back. We all got your back.
Thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank
No
you so
problem.
much for having me.
No problem. All right, guys, that wraps up our interview. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good shit. Word on the streets, it's BowlzNBeatzpodcast. Bye.